So how to start in real estate investing, you're going to find out exactly what to do and how to do it right here, right now from a guy who's actually done it. So right here, I'm going to show you what I did and how I do it every day. I still invest in real estate. I'm going to show you my strategies. I'm going to give you some resources that you can go to, the same ones that I use. And then I'm going to tell you a story about how I went out and found 53 homes for sale. And it was when I first started in real estate. And it's an exciting story, and you'll be able to see how you can do the same. So to get started in real estate investing, the first thing you need to do is start. Go out and look at open houses. Look online on different sites for things for sale, like Zillow. One of the main places that I find homes is on Zillow. Now, what do I look for? I look for price per square foot. So if I see a 1,200 square foot house for sale, and that house is at $130 a square foot, and everything else in the market is $170, $180 a square foot, then I'm going to look to that property hard and see if that's something that I want to invest in. Why do I do that? I do that because there's a lot of upside. If something is listed for $130 a foot and the market is $180 a foot and it's 1,000 feet, I do the math. $50 a square foot times 1,000 means there's $50,000 of potential equity there. And when that happens, I want to target that particular property. So one of the resources that I use on a regular basis, especially after the pandemic, it's just about over, is I look for lowest price per square foot. So I could be in any market. Recently, I was showing somebody in Tracy, Minnesota, what's the lowest price per square foot of homes there? And I would go ahead and I would deliver to that person I was helping. Here's 3 properties that are like $40, $50, $60, $70 per square foot lower than everything else in the market. So the next thing I do is I get a feel for the market by doing research. I just sit at home on Zillow, on Realtor.com, on Trulia, and I kind of see what's available and what's out there. Another way to get a feel for the market is to go out and actually look at properties. Sometimes you'll see that properties are underpriced. Sometimes you'll see that properties, the reason they're real low is they back up to a railroad track, or they're damaged, or they're in a bad area. And I love those. See, you were thinking I was going to say, well, I avoid those. No, those are the ones I like, because those properties can be fixed up and people live everywhere. Even though you may not live there, other people may live there. There also is the opportunity to have it as a rental property, or have it as something that you're going to fix and sell to get more value. I buy properties all the time that are low value. Okay, I just bought one yesterday. So I do this every day, all day. So when you go and look for properties, you want to look for the lowest price per square foot for the area, whatever area you are. And you don't even need to live in that area. You can look at areas outside of where you live and get the lowest price per square foot in that area. But I do recommend you not be more than 2 hours away from where you live, because it's very difficult to manage property or fix property that's too far away. Another great way to get a feel for the market is to talk to agents. The more you communicate with people, the more likely you are to find out about opportunities. I live this. I talk to people on an airplane. You know the number one selling fruit in Walmart? You know what it is? It's bananas. I had no idea. Why? Because I sat next to the guy who was part of Walmart, right? What's the best deals in real estate? What's the newest homes that everybody wants that are going up with each release as they sell the homes? They're raising the prices. Where are those? Talk to people, listen, get out there, get engaged, get people to know who you are and get to know who people are. I can't tell you how many times in my email or on my phone or in my text, I've had realtors send me deals. They could be a big resource for you, and they will send you deals. Why? Because they want to make that commission, right? Well, if they don't know you and they've never heard of you, how are they going to send you any information? So be known, know people, talk to people, go out in the community. My name, where I buy most of my properties, people know who I am because I've done a lot of deals in that area. So before I go to my next point, I want to help you step by step, move by move in your real estate investing. And the way I'm going to be able to do that is you got to subscribe. So go ahead and subscribe and let's start a relationship. And the same way that I just talked about communicating, I want to communicate with you and I want you to communicate with me. You can comment on the video, but please subscribe. And I'm not going to tell you anymore until you do. When I first started in real estate, it was a long time ago. And I was at a time where there was no internet, there was classified ads. And when I was 19 and 20, I used to buy cars from the classified flea market in the San Francisco Bay Area. And it came out Thursday morning, but I would get the paper Wednesday night because it was available outside of the publisher. They just had a rack right outside on High Street in Oakland. So I used to go get the classified flea market. And then I would go through and I would only buy Volkswagens. And I would buy Volkswagens when I was 19 years old that were underpriced because I knew the market. Just like houses, I had a pretty good idea what Volkswagens, I didn't know anything about Chevys or Fords. I knew about Volkswagens. That's what I knew about. I owned one. I knew all about them. I bought about 17 of them when I was 19 to 20 years old and flipped them to make extra money, okay? So with houses, I went to the classified flea market and I found 53 homes for sale. 53, all on voicemail. And it was houses, one single family, one unit, 2 to 4 units, and greater than 4 units. And I listened to every single one of those messages. And the messages went like this. This is a single family home. It has an FHA assumable loan on it for about $51,000, and we're asking $75,000. The seller may carry a second for $10,000. Now what that means is the seller may carry a loan behind the FHA loan, which at the time were assumable by investors. So when I went out and I listened to all those and I wrote them all down on a piece of paper, see, I'm engaging, I'm learning, right? I'm learning the market. And I went out and I drove all night and I got home about 3 in the morning. I drove every single property. What did I do? The same thing I'm telling you to do. Go out and get a feel for the market. I found a property I liked in Castro Valley, California, and it was a duplex. And I met the owner a couple days later about that property because I wanted to write an offer. I got an offer for him off the internet. I wrote it. I went and met him. When I met him, he lived in Alameda. I walked in and there was this round table that had all these papers all over it. There were PG&E bills, water bills. PG&E is the power bill, water bills, mortgage payments, tax payments. It was just everywhere, all over the table. And he scooted some stuff aside. He said, go ahead and sit down. So I sat down and we went over my offer. And I said, you know, I looked at a lot of your properties and they were in Oakland in some areas that at the time seemed to be high crime neighborhoods. There was people out 1, 2 in the morning. There was things happening that were troublesome to me. And he said to me, you know, that's what most people say, like you, because they're afraid of the market and it creates opportunity. Well, guess where I bought my first property? In Oakland. So after I met him, and he showed me the changing market and how people were investing in these lower priced homes, which just 3 or 4 miles away were double in price. He showed me how people were buying these lower priced homes and fixing them up and moving in. I was driving back thinking about what he thought, and I stopped at an open house. What did I tell you to do? Stop at open houses and meet people. I met a man by the name of Maguire. Maguire was a garbage man in Berkeley. He was almost a millionaire. I was a chiropractor in practice and I didn't have a lot of money. Him and I hit it off. We were about the same age. We hit it off. We spent 5 hours together talking about real estate. He drove me all around, showed me all these properties. And guess who I invested in my first property with? Maguire. We took a 1-bedroom, 1-bath house. We got permits and turned it into a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, sold it. I put in, I think, around $8,000 and I made around $13,000 or $14,000. Including my 8, so 5,000 or 6,000. But what I got from Maguire was an education. I got an education, okay? And I got an education in the same way that I'm telling you, to go out and meet people, talk to people. Opportunities are everywhere, but if you're sitting at home, you're not gonna have those opportunities. So just like I say, subscribe. If you don't subscribe, you're missing out on the opportunity. I've made my money, okay? I became a multimillionaire in real estate from the day I met Maguire. And I'll tell more about that story in further videos. But the point of it is, I'm not telling you to do anything that I haven't done, okay? I look at Zillow every day. I go out and meet people all the time. I'm engaged on a regular basis. Now, if even as a chiropractor, when I was seeing patients, after patients, okay, on the weekends, I would go look at real estate. And other people that you watch are going to tell you the same thing. You got to go look, you got to go out there, and you got to engage. Now that you've watched this episode, my next step is to have you go to my next video, which is how to get started in real estate with no money. So how do you get started in real estate with no money? Watch the next video and I'll show you.